Hey folks, I'm Rebecca Hargraves. This is the Backlash. Joined today with my normal Vince James, Dave Riley. How are you two?
Hey, pretty good.
I'm doing great.
This is the second installment of our Monday interview series. Today we have Tom from FleshSimulator. I'm so glad I got your first name and I don't have to call you FleshSimulator over and over again. I've been dreading
Flesh.
it all week. Just
For short.
just calling you Flesh.
Yeah, it's weird when people say that in person. It's like it's kind of on me. I picked the name, but it's like, yeah. If you see me in person, please call me Tom. Great to be here.
It's a video game, right? FleshSimulator?
No, but it's.
Oh, I thought it was. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Okay.
See, I told you it's a
there's-
deep philosophical commentary on what it's like to be a human meat sack. Right?
Yeah, that's like actually, yeah, that is pretty much what it is.
I'm so
Got it.
smart. So smart. You can find us on X at Real Backlash. You can find us on Patreon. Subscribe, star. Most importantly, go to thebacklash.net/super chat. This is live. We will be taking super chats at the end of the show. Did I get everything?
I think so. I think you plugged it. It was good.
I plugged it all.
You plugged everything that we needed to plug.
Let's get into it with Tom.
Well, hold on a second. We do have a sponsor that is graciously bringing this program to you. And that sponsor
Antelope Hill
is Antelope Hill Book Publishing, America's leading publisher of dissident books, including a wide array of both original works and new first-time translations of important historical titles. Our catalog focuses on bringing you books that mainstream publishers won't touch, books that challenge the ruling orthodoxy on history, politics, and twisted nature of the system that we live under. Among our titles are works like the Open Society Playbook, a deep dive into the web of NGOs and shadowy government funding that has recently come under fire with the USAID scandal for spreading left-wing ideological corruption at home and abroad. We are also proud to publish The American Regime by Christian Secor, initially written anonymously by the author while in prison for his actions on January 6th, examining how the American Leviathan functions. If you're listening to this show, you won't be disappointed in these or any of the books published at Antelope Hill. You can view their catalog and make purchases directly from antelopehillpublishing.com, supporting independent creators and businesses directly. Check us out today.
Awesome.
You went a little old Jewish lady at the end there.
Well done.
Did I?
Check us out.
Well, he
Check
almost
us out on
said
the
said
internet,
variety and array at the same time. It could have been like varay or ariety.
Variety.
Variety.
Could have gone on. I'm sure this is what Tom wants to listen to.
Hard-hitting
Welcome,
content.
Tom.
Welcome, Tom. You have a very interesting and deeply disturbing YouTube channel that I've been binge watching the last few days. I had some fucked up dreams last night. It was just terrible. Can
Join the club.
can you tell us a little bit about why you started your YouTube channel? Generally, what's it about? In case people are unfamiliar with you, just give them a little taste of what you got going on. Why did
Okay,
I have to
so-
say it like that? That was
So what happened was like I wound up starting on TikTok actually. Just kind of. So I was running an electronics company in probably 2022 or so, and I started the TikTok channel originally just with the hopes of like, okay, let me see if I can pump this up enough so I can get free advertising for my electronics company instead of having to pay for ads and stuff like that and do it organically. And then pretty quickly I started getting enough attention just for the random kind of technological and weird TikToks and stuff I made that actually started making more money than the very, very unsuccessful company that I was trying to run was. And so I was like, okay, let me actually just try to pivot full time into this. And what I wound up having a couple hits with on TikTok initially was, just casual discussion of, I guess, sort of, conspiracy. Like, I don't like the word conspiracy theory because it's like, what I'm talking about isn't really the theories. It's just the ones that happened. And so like I, kind of got some traction on TikTok from that. And I was like, okay, well, actually, in this case, let me start a YouTube channel. So I can, like, the reason I wanted to start the YouTube channel originally was something that I've actually in the last week or so been very, very, very validated on, which was the video I did on Reddit being astroturfed to all hell by like all the bot farms at Eglin Air Force Base.
What? Eklund
Oh, yeah.
Air Force Base?
Yeah, I don't
Eglin
know.
Air Force Base, Eglin in Florida.
Wow.
Yeah, like there's a thing that Reddit published in I think 2013 that they wound up having to redact. They scrubbed as much as they could, but it got caught on the Internet Archive that shows that the most like basically the most active city with over 100,000 Reddit accounts is Eglin Air Force Base, and it's like, okay, well that's an Air Force Base that has like 2,000 people on it, so the numbers aren't really adding up there, and it's like, what do you mean most active? And so I started looking into it more, and that's the home of basically like all of the Air Force's cyber operations, all their um, psyop stuff, like all kinds of weird test stuff like that. And there was a paper that was published specifically in collaboration with Eglin on the topic of manipulating public perception via bot farms, and like just going onto social media and just spreading ideas. And like what wound up kind of coming out is that at the very least Reddit was being used to train ChatGPT.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the original
I'm
video on
looking it up right now, and I'm finding stuff. I just
It's
typed
unreal.
in like Eglin Air Force Base Reddit accounts. 100,000 Reddit accounts.
Yeah, yeah.
Eglin Air Force Base.
Look at that.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
So this is what got you viral on TikTok initially.
Well, this was the first thing that I did on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Okay.
This was like the first more long form video that I did that I wanted to actually put some time and effort into, because I tried explaining it on TikTok and it was like you can't really it's a complicated enough story that you can't really fully explain it in a minute or whatever. But yeah, so that was the video that I launched the YouTube channel with, called, I think I called it Reddit is a PSYOP.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's but what happened recently was that during all of the recent round of Doge cuts, somehow someone, I guess, unplugged the cable that was sending money for paying the internet bill there, because Eglin had a complete base-wide internet outage for a couple hours, and people noticed that all of a sudden, like, hey, wait a second, like all of the propaganda on Reddit stopped.
Wow.
How bizarre. And have I lost my mic?
No,
what was that
you're on.
video? I was trying to find. There was a video. It was like a military recruiting video, or like a Marine recruiting video, or maybe an Air Force recruiting video, where they talked about literal like promoting psyops.
Oh, do you remember that?
Remember that? Yeah,
I can probably pull that up. The that video was crazy.
Yeah, I can't find it right now.
It was the PSYOPs division. Hold on.
Oh, I found it. I got it. Here we
All
go.
right, here we
Ready?
go. Laptop.
Let's see if we can play this here. No, they're saying it's
No,
this
that's
one here.
not
It's
that
this
one.
one here. Is it
Yes,
this one?
this one. Yes, this is it. I actually think this is one of the. Yeah, this is one of the best pieces of army propaganda I've ever seen. It's really freaky.
As the world watches and listens in horror, the peaceful pro-democracy demonstration in China comes to a violent and bloody end.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Wolves hiding nearby, whispering do or die around me.
Have you ever seen this?
No.
It's pretty crazy.
This is the army.
You'll
Yes.
find us in the shadows. Is it Army or is it something else?
You say your last good night while
This is really dystopian.
This is. It
It
looks
gets
like
better. It gets better.
It looks like a Call of Duty commercial, but it's not. It's like.
There is another very important phase of warfare. It has as its target not the body, but the mind of the enemy.
The target of psychological warfare
What?
against the enemy's mind.
It is words and ideas.
Ammunition used by Cywar.
Its mission is to influence the thoughts of the enemy soldier, and at the same time
Is expected and encouraged to study foreign languages and the social sciences such as history, economics, and sociology. He must have a broad and sympathetic understanding of all phases of human experience.
Gripping at my skin, the walls of night
crazy, huh?
closing.
Keep going. Just play it to the end.
Yeah, this
the
is
use of this
legit.
force as an integral part of combat has now taken on new form.
As I wait to say my last goodbye.
Color revolutions, regime changes.
Oh.
Psy-war.
My gosh, this is the United States
These are
Army
the
made this?
Psy-war soldiers.
This is not a piece for recruitment. This is propaganda to inspire fear in the Chinese, right?
No, I
I
think
don't
it's
know.
a recruitment video
it's both.
for us, for
Both,
people
yeah.
in America that might be interested in engaging in that kind of behavior with,
So I
with
see we've
army backing.
Entered this futuristic hellscape that we all feared.
That's 3 years
We've
old.
been
Are
there.
you serious?
That's 3 years old. Yeah.
How have I
we
never
been
seen
there?
this?
Have we been there?
Oh yeah, like the like that's kind of the basis of like what 5th gen warfare.
Yes.
Like yeah, no, that's been happening since since 9/11.
I was even going to say since, I mean, what about the, we were talking before we went on the air, and of course now I forget the name of the damn project, but it started in Vietnam. Operation
Operation
Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Operation
Yeah, Phoenix
Phoenix.
program. Yeah.
Can you
Oh,
talk
yeah,
about that and like maybe its relationship to the serial killer epidemic in America? Is there any connection
yeah.
there?
Like I would love to. So with that, like Operation Phoenix has a lot of ties to the kind of explosion of serial killers in the 70s, and this is the thesis of the book, "Program to Kill," basically. And one of the main people involved in the Phoenix program, well, not officially, but I mean, if you just look into anything about his background, yeah, it's the Phoenix program, is a guy named Michael Aquino, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino. He is actually the subject of a different video of mine, and he was kind of like the real cause of the beginning of the Satanic Panic scandal. He was the person who wrote From Psyop to Mind War, which is like a really influential text in the world of psychological operations. He was involved in the Phoenix program, by all accounts, and like also very, very, very prolific, child abuser with ties to the Franklin scandal, the Presidio scandal, all that kind of stuff. And like with the serial killer epidemic, which like all of this stuff kind of ties together like this, where like it all kind of stemmed from the same place of, basically kind of like psychological control through violence. And what happened with a lot of the people, like, so the one I always bring up as an example is I think technically cousin of Richard Ramirez was a Phoenix program guy. And he came back from Vietnam completely all messed up in the head, after, having been paid to go and, torture and pillage and basically just be a serial killer in Vietnam to inspire fear in the Viet Cong. He comes back, teaches his, shows pictures and videos that he took to Richard Ramirez, kind of indoctrinates him into this like death cult of violence. And that's where, Ramirez's violent streak began.
Wow, I had no
Interesting.
idea.
Well, it's kind of
yeah.
like we've talked about this before, like Laurel Canyon. Like we've talked about, the Doors and what was
The Mansons.
the Manson family. We've even talked about the Unabomber and how he was MK Ultra'd when he was younger.
Yeah.
Literally MK Ultra'd.
Yes, at Harvard University.
At Harvard University. And so, like, a lot of this does tie together. It's way before 9/11. It's like 60s, like 50s, 60s is when it really started to kick off. And like that, I mean, that totally all tie. I think, like, the what's the one that they called Ted Cruz? The
Zodiac Killer.
Zodiac Killer.
Could you talk a little bit about MK Ultra, and if you have any information about the requirements to be successfully hypnotized? I think that's really really interesting psychologically. Like, I know only some people are susceptible to it.
So with hypnosis, it's like it's kind of a loaded assumption to assume that successfully hypnotized exists, and I think that's kind of what was discovered, where it's like you can hypnotize people, but like it's usually not going to have the right effect. They're going to be kind of erratic and hard to control, and I think that's why there's been more of a shift towards less like old school Manchurian Candidate style, just actual hypnosis into whatever the hell we have going on now. But with MK Ultra, like MK Ultra is something that's interesting because it's actually like, so what MK Ultra was, it wasn't one specific program. It was a classification above top secret for secret, like classified information at the CIA from I think 1952 to 1973 is that time period, and it was just everything that was classified as ultra secret, and it has hundreds of subprojects. And I actually did a video that broke down all of the known subprojects, all the ones that didn't have their papers burned, and that's at least 150 of them. And like, so this right here, where is this from? Because
This is
This is a
this is
FOIA
from
request.
CIA.gov.
Okay, so like there's actual like breakdowns of the individual subprojects of MK Ultra. And a lot of MK Ultra obviously did have to do with hypnotism, but it's like, it's LSD stuff. There's, use of magic. There's people, investigating. Like, there's all kinds of weird stuff in there. There's the Montreal experiments. There's, Operation Acoustic Kitty, I think, was technically part of it, which was when they were trying to implant microphones into cats to spy on the Soviets.
Seriously?
Yeah. What about there was also
Oh, yeah.
Operation Stargate?
Yes.
That's something different. That was post MK Ultra.
Oh, okay.
That ties into Operation Grill Flame.
What? What's Operation Grill Flame? I've never heard of that one.
Operation Grill Flame. So Operation Grill Flame is tied to Operation Stargate. That's all the remote viewing stuff.
What?
Right.
Yeah.
Grill
Here's
Flame
Grill
Flame Projects Report. Defense Intelligence.
Yeah, that was post MK Ultra.
What was Stargate, Dave?
Well, Stargate was, I think, this like remote astral projection thing where they were trying to get people into a certain brainwave state where they could like remote view the Russians' like nuclear facilities or something, basically. But there's also this weird thing, and we've never really talked about it on this show, maybe a little bit. But the GATE program, right? Gifted and Talented Education. I was a GATE kid. Vince was a GATE kid. Most of my friends are GATE kids. You just raised your hand too?
Yeah.
That's crazy. How do we always find each other?
Well, initially or very early on, they had me take this test, right? This hearing and vision test, and like they have you take this was like really young. I don't even know, like second grade.
Second grade, yeah.
After that, it's just sort of like I stopped paying attention to school, but but like they have you take this like auditory and visual test. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
It's like they bring open this black laptop, and they open it, and you sit at a desk, and you put these things in your ear, and you have to like it's like, I don't know. It's so weird. I can I have vague memories of it.
Most people like don't really remember exactly what happened there. I remember with because for me it was later. They wanted to put me on like Ritalin in second grade, and my parents were like, "Fuck that! No way! We're not doing that. We're not drugging our sons." So they pulled me out before that stuff really got hot and heavy in like second and third grade.
Didn't they give this test to everybody? I remember doing it.
No. I mean, the test that they give is different, and so like,
and it's spatial reasoning.
There's spatial reasoning.
I don't
There's all kinds of like playing with the little different colored pieces. But like, I remember specifically with the hearing test, it was like, okay, raise your hand. When you hear it in your right ear, right, and then when you hear it in your left ear, and then it started to be like, raise your hand for what ear the tone is going to be played in. Mm-hmm. It was like predictive. Like I had to predict which ear. It was weird. It's not like a normal hearing test. It was weird.
Vince, you don't remember this at all? Did you get molested? Is that why?
Maybe. I get molested every time we go live by the live chat. No, but I mean, it is super interesting when you start to look into it, because there was this guy that wrote this book. I forget. I had someone on my show talking about this, but it was about Laurel Canyon. And it was about like all of the bands, like the Doors and all of the bands during that time in the 60s. A lot of them were from Laurel Canyon. I think Jim Morrison's father, wasn't he?
He was
like,
military intelligence.
Wasn't he like on the ship, the Lusitania or something, or?
No, he was responsible for the Gulf of Tonkin.
Gulf of Tonkin, right? He was responsible for the Gulf of Tonkin, in the Vietnam War.
What?
His dad was like on the ship, wasn't he? Like he was like an admiral or something.
Yeah. I don't know if he was on the ship or if he was just responsible for like, the logistics of it, but he was really kind of the guy that was directly responsible for the Gulf of Tonkin incident.
Interesting.
Yeah, the lead singer of the Doors, his dad was like partially responsible or fully responsible for the Gulf of Tonkin, which got us into the Vietnam War.
Wow, that's
which is an
incredibly
admitted
suspicious.
false flag today.
I think we're all most interested in your video, serial killing for fun and profit. This recent video that went viral. Could you talk a little bit about the connection between Democrat elites and just elites in general and these serial killings that you were talking about in your video, especially as it pertains to John Wayne Gacy? I think that intersection is very interesting.
Okay, so John Wayne Gacy was a fairly high-ranking member of the Chicago Democratic Party administration. Like he wasn't a political candidate, but he was involved as kind of a volunteer. But like he was involved in the party maintenance side of things, and that gave him a lot of access to, members of the party. And Chicago politics in general is notoriously corrupt, and it's a city that's one of those like I don't know how much all of you know about the way that the primary system works in Chicago, but for the mayor of Chicago thing, they have something that's called like a jungle primary, where because it's pretty much fixed so that everyone is going to vote Democrat no matter what. So they have like a Republican Democrat and a Democrat for local politics there. But what that meant is like he's less involved in the Democratic Party as we know it now and more involved in just like Chicago politics. He was a Democrat, but like as we would define it now, but like it's more so like just a local political machine there.
Right.
And he was so he was kind of an interesting case because I feel like he was not entirely a fall guy, but like he was partially a fall guy. Where I think that, a lot of like I think that only some of the murders attributed to John Wayne Gacy actually were performed by him.
But you think that he had accomplices?
Oh yeah, I think he had accomplices. I think he had bosses.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that he was reporting to a guy named two people, a guy named John Norman and a guy named Philip Paskey.
What is the evidence that he was not acting alone?
Well, the evidence that he wasn't acting alone is, the one that people always kind of bring up, and I think this is like a, one of the less good pieces of evidence, but it's kind of straightforward, is that, he was a, 350-pound man, and he somehow managed to wrestle 20 or 30 different, dead bodies into his crawl space and bury them. And it's like, if anyone who's been inside a crawl space can be like, yeah, you can barely turn around yourself, let alone if you're a great big fat man. And
Right.
but the real one that kind of swayed me was the fact that he had 12 sets of keys made for his house, and B, like at least one confirmed and several other kind of alleged murders took place while he was like provably and confirmed to be out of town, and also lived with Philip Paskey.
Right, and then I think that
12
earlier
sets of keys for his house. That's
earlier in his
crazy.
life, he had a charge that he kind of got off on. I mean, he was in jail for a little bit, but it was a terrible charge. I think it was like forcible rape and attempted murder, and he didn't spend that much time in jail. So I've always wondered if maybe he had somebody on the inside that helped him get out from that.
Oh yeah, and I think that person was John Norman, who was notorious for managing to keep getting out of jail somehow. Like John Norman was really kind of the big boss here. Not that John Norman is John. God, what's
John
his name?
David Norman.
John David Norman.
There we go.
Yes, this guy. Like, oh yeah. So he was originally involved in the like Texas area music scene. He was originally he worked at Desert Records, which was a record label, and that's where he got to know Roy Ames, who was another anyone familiar with the kind of Texas area country music scene has heard the horror stories about his just absolutely atrocious business practices. He would, go around buying rights to all of the catalog of competing. Basically, he would offer fraudulent record deals to people and get the rights to their music, and then file injunctions to keep them from performing it live to artificially lower the supply of musicians in the area. But also, he was the one who was caught by, I think, customs, because he was trying to import hundreds and hundreds of pounds of child pornography. And then, when he was this is actually that guy. He had his warehouse space raided, and they found, I think, upwards of I think total it was 8 tons of child porn.
Good Lord.
Shit.
Oh yeah, no, he was one of the biggest distributors. He was on the distribution side, and then he, I believe through the music industry, was put in contact with John Norman, who was on the production side.
Interesting. Yeah, 'cause I think so. One of the things that this sort of ties into, which is the question that Rebecca was asking, you're someone would say why would John Wayne Gacy have bosses? Where's the money in this? And the point of your video, the main point of your video, the main takeaway was, you went through different cases, how all of these serial killers connect, and you talked about how there were hundreds of thousands of snuff films or films of people getting murdered that were being produced, were being sold. And there was one particular person that had, and we're talking about him now, Roy Ames. I think there was a connection. There was 100,000 films, 100,000 clients, and that client list was actually burned by the FBI. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So what happened with the client list was that was the client list that belonged to John Norman. And the way that John Norman was, so John Norman, I think, actually was brought in because he had charges stretching back through the 50s and the 60s for all kinds of sexual impropriety, molestation, rape, stuff like that. But he, I guess, got out of jail at some point, and in the 70s, he was running something called the Odyssey Foundation, which was his first business. This was back when it was in Texas, and this was based, I believe, out of Dallas. And what happened with the Odyssey Foundation was that his apartment was raided following a tip given to police by someone relating to the crimes of Dean Corll, because I believe that I think it was actually a different bust out in California, like in Santa Clara or something like that, that there were photographs found of the victims of Dean Coral in the like cache of child sexually exploitative material that got found.
And by the way, Dean Coral is the Candyman, for those
Yes.
who don't know. Yeah, the
Yes.
Candyman killer. Keep going.
And his contact information, John Norman's contact information, was found in with all of this, cache of, obscene material that led police to go raid John Norman's apartment. And what they found was all the details of the, basically the operation of the Odyssey Foundation, which was like a combination, like child porn, snuff film, sex trafficking ring that operated. And the thing with that is they found his client list, which had over 100,000 names on it. It was on 20,000 pink index cards. This wound up getting turned over by the Houston Police Department to the State Department. And then the State Department investigated this, long and extensive client list. And what happened with that was that they determined that it was not relevant to any inquiry regarding a passport or something bizarre. Like they made up some fake reason and then they burned it.
Good Lord.
And according to an interview with Harold, I forget his last name, but it's in the video. This was an interview that took place in 1977. Someone from the Houston Police Department who actually had seen the list, he was like, oh yeah, these were like recognizable names. These were politicians, these were businessmen, these were celebrities that were clients.
Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely believe it. I think that you were right to point out that these are not conspiracy theories, because I remember around the time of Pizzagate and when we were reading the WikiLeaks, there was obviously something going on, and then we got grouped into this category of conspiracy theorists, as though this was such an insane thing to believe that elites, government elites, Republican and Democrat and Hollywood elites, would have some sort of degenerate sex ring and circulate material like this. Like, of course they do. Yeah. This has been proven many times over.
Check this out. Look at this. I just pulled this up here. Philip Paskey, which is a name that he just mentioned. Let me just expand my my
Move
screen
it over
here
a little bit, yeah.
And it says here, Philip Ronald Paskey was an American criminal and child pornographer from Chicago, Illinois. He was the closest associate of personal friend of sex trafficker John David Norman, and was briefly an employee of serial killer John Wayne Gacy.
Right.
So what he's saying, like his point of this video, but by the way, congratulations, has over 1 million views and climbing on YouTube. It was shared with me. It was shared with a bunch of others in our circles. And what he talks about in this video, FleshSimulator is his YouTube channel, is the fact that a lot of these things that were scooped up by the feds and by the police were pictures, videos of people getting killed. Of course, you have the sex trafficking stuff and the pedophile stuff, but people getting killed or people that were killed, maybe picked up by the police or something. You had a picture of some dead body. This stuff was being sold. He had 100,000 names on his client list. And then what did they do with the client list? What happened there?
Yeah, they burnt it. Like they I think burned it. They recognized that, like, oh yeah, this is going to be a big old deal if this comes out. It's got all kinds of incredibly rich businessmen. It's got the people at the levers of power.
Yeah,
they're like, oh yeah, this can't ever get out. They burnt it. Like it's
right. I think that we should take this moment to really thank Pam Bondi and all the conservative influencers who brought the Epstein information to light for us. It's been such a revelation this week to know who's responsible for all of this. Oh my God.
That thing, I went super viral. What day is it? It's Monday today. I think it was Friday or something. I went whatever the day was that it happened, right? I got like 7 or 8 million impressions that day on Twitter because it was within literally 5 minutes of seeing what these people were posting, it's like, oh, I already have that completely unredacted, saved on a PDF
we had
on my
it
computer.
Several years ago,
I've had this for 5 fucking years. There's nothing new about any of this. This is totally.
So I can assume that you don't think that we're ever going to see this client list.
No, I don't think so.
No, the client list it's going to be. It's going to be burnt up, just like this old one that we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's a rhetorical question, but.
He knocked over his camera. Wait, did I just see a picture of Marjorie Taylor Greene on your desk?
Hold on a second. Wait.
Oh.
Hold that up again. Hold it up again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm just saying, like, I've had
That's
this,
the page. That's
Yeah,
exactly
there
the
it is.
page.
Yeah.
I've had the exact same list since it came out. And it's like, yeah, it was just it was a disgrace what happened.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
The
It's-
Rickroll thing just really upset me.
made me
You're
mad.
making a joke out of it.
Yes, because they're making a mockery of us. We want this very important information that's going to reveal to us the high level degeneracy of the elites in this country, and then they rickroll us.
They literally rickrolled us.
Yeah.
There was a tweet that was put out by the House Republicans.
Yeah,
and
I know.
Okay.
They literally rickrolled us. They think that this is a joke. They don't care that we want this information, and they're telling us that we're never going to get it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Look at this right here. So I just found this article here from the New York Times. Alleged homosexual.
Center it on the screen.
Oh, jeez.
Gotta.
Why is it doing that? Why does it do that?
It hates
so
you, Finn.
You can go to thebacklash.net, and we're probably going to be putting up some new HDMI converters
There we
on
go.
our Amazon wish list, because this one's a little weird. But
Okay, here we go. Alleged homosexual ring found in raid on apartment in Dallas, and right here it talks about the amount of names. It says there was 100,000 or 50. Oh, there it is, right there. 50. Last night's raid turned up a catalog files containing the names and addresses of 50 to 100,000 people around the country. The police said.
What the?
Also seized were booklets containing the pictures and names of teen-aged and young adult males available through the ring for homosexual activities.
Yes.
Why is our government run by
Pedophiles.
by rich pedophile homosexual
Oh,
elitists.
why
One
is
of our
this?
platforms, YouTube, so I don't know if we can say that word.
I don't know what we're talking
I
about.
don't care. It's my
Oops.
channel.
Whoopsie
Whatever.
daisy.
Okay.
Is that a bad word?
Yeah.
No, you can say it. It's fine.
But yeah, I mean, it's like, honestly, I think it's the same reason that like that was the community that was in it. So I don't know how much you know about the JFK assassination, but like the whole like lead up to that was it almost exclusively involved homosexual men
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because of the fact that like there was just very easy shared form of blackmail that they could use to keep all of them lip zipped.
Yep.
Right. Well, yeah, like David Ferry, right? David Ferry, the guy that Joe Pesci played in the disinformation film from 1991.
Oh, JFK.
Yeah.
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 Jeez.
Interesting.
So you re-released a video on Epstein recently. Can you tell us a little bit about why it had to be re-released? What revelations there were in there?
I mean, it was like really, I don't think it was any revelation because the video originally was just me reading the same, list,
I was
and
being
it's been available
facetious.
for years. It's been available, but just I think there's just some things where certain names just automatically will flag something or other that just takes the video down. And yeah, so what I wound up doing was I just kind of went back through and did like a greatest hits kind of thing of because a lot of these names are ones that aren't like no one really knows who they are, and they're people who aren't even like it's like the mid-tier level, and I think those are the kind of people that they're not high profile enough to have already had that come out, but like have enough influence and power and money to make it so that they can really like turn the screws if
they need to. Yeah. Do you think Trump would be implicated if we got all of the information in its entirety?
I mean, I think that I think my views on that are complicated. I think that Trump would have been implicated for stuff probably between 93 and 2002. I think that Trump was I do actually think that Trump was one of the first people to kind of sound the alarm on Epstein. If you look back, there's an interview that he did in the early 2000s that he was the first person to kind of come out and be like, oh yeah, he likes him young. And
Oh, I remember that.
I do too.
Yeah.
so it's like, I don't know if it was just like a, eyes are bigger than his stomach kind of deal. And I'm not even really a Trump guy. Like I don't, like I have no dog in this fight with regard to either condemning him or claiming his innocence. But I think that like he does have very, very consistent ties to Epstein during the 90s. And there are, I think, there is testimony that implicates him.
Yeah.
Granted, it's just testimony, but it's like, I think that, he at the very least had a very, very strong connection to Epstein, just by virtue of both being in the New York kind of elite big money scene. I think it implicates everyone, though. This was not exactly like, hush hush. It was an open secret.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
There was also this kind of interesting bit I remember reading in Whitney Webb's book, One Nation Under Blackmail. We need to get her on the show sometime, by the way. But she was talking about how, what's her name? Ivana, his first wife?
Yes.
Used to cruise around New York City
With Ghislaine
Maxwell.
yeah.
Looking for like Victoria's Secret models for like who's it? Leslie Wexner is the guy that owns that and the Limited from the Mega Group, etc.
Yep.
Yeah, Les Wexner. Well, that's not a name. I mean, everyone knows that name by now, right?
Now they
Les
do.
Wexner,
Yeah, thanks to Virginia Giuffre or whatever. But
she was.
What I was going to ask, what do you think is the reason? Like, so there's like a lot of theories, obviously. Like everybody knows that there's like a connection between Ghislaine Maxwell's dad, Robert, and like Mossad. Do we know? Like, what is your take on this? Was Epstein a CIA guy? Was he a Mossad guy? Was he a double or perhaps triple agent? Like, who's pulling the strings? Is it America? Is it Israel? Like, what's your take on that?
I mean, I think if you look back at the last 30 years, what country is longer than that, really 50 years, who is best known for use of compromat doctrine? Mm-hmm. I think the answer is pretty clear here. And I don't want to I don't want to be talking too much about this for obvious reasons.
Right.
Say it.
Well, I think it's pretty out in the open now.
That's what I'm saying here.
Yeah, everyone's talking about it. Everyone knows.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing is that, even if something did come out, they would, in these files or whatever, they would filter it through the Conservative Inc. co-op, controlled opposition network, and wouldn't hear anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
Most people wouldn't hear about it. But I think everyone knows by now that he was a Mossad agent. He was trying to blackmail U.S. politicians to get him to do what's best for Israel. They've been doing this forever. I mean, he had a picture of like Bill Clinton in a blue dress, a painting. Like that just goes to show you that he owned the people that they say are in charge.
Yeah.
He was like, with him and his network were in charge. And there's so many different like examples outside of Epstein, like where they blackmail people. And like, why do you think that we have to like literally applaud for Bibi Netanyahu when he goes to, like, both sides of the aisle have to stand up and give a standing ovation?
Trump's pulling out his chair.
Trump's pulling out his chair.
Yeah.
He literally brings his dirty laundry to Washington, D.C.
Yep.
Did you know this?
Yes.
Like he brings his dirt.
So that they wash it.
So that they wash it. Like
golden pagers. Yep.
Yeah.
I posted
He
this
gave
one.
Trump a golden pager, like a threat.
Oh, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that people that don't believe that it goes this deep, that it's this disgusting, are probably in denial about the nature of the elite in this country and across the world. This is a global cabal.
Do you want to say anything? So where can people find you at, by the way?
So I'm on the main platforms I'm on right now are YouTube. That's kind of the main place that I post videos. And then I'm on Twitter where like I spend most of my time on Twitter just starting random shit fights with people and arguing because I find it fun. But I am on Twitter. That's probably the best place to get in touch with me.
Yeah, it's FleshSimulator at FleshSimulator on Twitter. You can find his Twitter, and then you can check him out, Flesh Simulator, on YouTube. Did you lose your TikTok, or do they still let you be on there?
I'm still on TikTok. I just don't post anymore there because it's like the platforms are just really annoying. The people there are annoying. I got it basically completely demonetized after I forget what I posted there that really hit. Oh, you know what it was? I posted something about Building 7 there.
Oh, nice.
Got it.
And yeah, I've gotten like 2,000 views on everything that I posted on TikTok since. And I didn't really care. I'm also on Instagram. Like my @ on everything is @FleshSimulator.
Okay.
Nice. Thank you. And we're gonna be taking your super chats in just a moment. So if you go to the backlash.net/super chat, we can take your super chats on, Power Chat and Entropy and Streamlabs. And so we've got a handy dandy page on the backlash.net where you can go and click in the upper right-hand corner and choose where you want that. But if this conversation has you feeling a little
Dirty.
icky, a little dirty,
disgusting.
because of the way that these elites are treating our young ones in this country, there is a solution.
That was
for
tasteless. That was just absolutely tasteless plug.
There is a
Segue.
solution. You can feel clean again by going to North Idaho Tallow Company at idahotallow.com. At North Idaho Tallow Company, we keep it simple. Grass-fed tallow, time-tested ingredients, zero junk. Our soaps, balms, and lip balm are packed with bioavailable nutrients for your skin. The nutrients that your skin actually needs. No fillers, no endocrine disruptors, just rugged, reliable skincare that works. Ditch the synthetic garbage and switch to North Idaho Tallow Co. Get yours at idahotallow.com. And of course, we have some of these samples. Vince was eating soap on the last show that we did.
I use this.
Did I give you you got a bar?
I got a bar. You told me not to wait because it needs to cure or whatever, but I used it yesterday or a couple days ago. And because I got I don't know if it's eczema or whatever, I get dry skin on my face. And you have to go to try to figure out what lotion, no lotions work. So I use this, and I haven't really had as much of an issue as I...
Good for you.
I've had
I don't think that we're
Again, it
legally
doesn't
allowed to
cure-
say
it
that.
doesn't cure anything,
It
but
doesn't
it's-
cure
it's
anything.
been-
We're not allowed to say that. The FDA is very strict
The
about
problem,
that.
the issue, white people living in dry climates, it's kind of... it's kind
I've heard that it fixed the issue with your nuts too.
Good.
That was a different issue, and Dave handled that before we went live.
Disgusting. this is all just turning into something really tasteless. Let's take these few super chats and then we're gonna let Tom
Tallow.
go.
Yes, okay.
here we go.
We've got one from the Upstarter. Big super chat, $50.
Hey, thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Hey, Backlash. Love from upstate New York. I hope you guys are doing well. Question for Dave. I'm a Protestant and was on the fence about Catholicism. Doesn't Christ call us to not pray to anyone but him? I'd love to understand, appreciate you guys. Actually, we're going to be having a priest on. We just booked him. Father James Maudsley is going to be joining us on the 17th of this month. So 2 Mondays from now, maybe we can ask him about that. For a Protestant, I do know that you guys are missing 7 books of the Bible, one of them being the book of the Maccabees, and that's the book where they talk about praying to dead saints for help. So that is something that was practiced by the church forever until Martin Luther started ripping books out of the Bible. So anyway, that's a quick answer.
But he was so based.
Martin
Based.
Luther
I'm
was
just
not
joking.
based.
He was not
He was
based.
I don't know anything about this
He was a
stuff.
horny monk that just wanted to get his rocks off with a nun.
That
and
is
he,
exactly
Let's-
right. Yeah.
he decided to
We've
make
got a
a
lot of
religion.
Protestant viewers, just to be FYI.
It's okay. They hate me anyway.
Okay, whatever.
Everyone
They really
hates
do.
me.
I get a lot of emails. Yeah.
Anonymous sent $5. Is this ever going to be about organizing and cooperation or just conspiracist 101?
Ooh.
Both.
Zing.
Zing.
Got us. Got
Both.
us.
We talk about organizing cooperation all the time.
We talk about it all the time.
Literally every time Cameron's on.
That is
Yes.
true.
Every show.
We have been working on some of the formatting and deciding when to do these in-depth episodes because we all kind of work differently. So Cameron and I are putting together like a very deep dive, in-depth research heavy episode monthly. And then the other 3 episodes are going to be a little bit more loosey-goosey, some laughs and things like that. But
Yeah.
I don't think that the audience wants one of those Cameron Rebecca Research Fest episodes every time.
Every single time.
Right.
yeah.
And so we have been working with the format and we do engage in some conspiracy theories, but not this episode.
This is not conspiracy
This is not a
theory.
conspiracy theory.
This is conspiracy fact.
It is a conspiracy fact.
That's right.
But I take all of your criticisms into consideration and I do listen to the feedback and I do incorporate it into our show. So
Especially when you pay to criticize our show.
that is true. Like you really must mean that we should take things in a different direction if you're giving us money. So I hear you, and there will be a research heavy episode this month.
Shut the fuck up.
No.
Shut the fuck up.
We love
Never
our
super chat
audience.
The show ever.
No.
no. I mean, serious. You have to be chill. I mean, I am done with the super serious. Like, you have to. I mean, I like just having fun. I mean, people, when you take medicine that is really tastes really bad, what do you have to take it? You have to take it with like sugar or something. A teaspoonful of sugar.
Okay, Mary
helps the medicine
Poppins.
go down.
A teaspoon of sugar.
Spoonful of sugar makes
Whatever.
the medicine.
You have to
go
be
down.
funny. You have to
Yeah.
be chill. You can't just be constantly serious and philosophical. all
I
the time.
disagree. I would like to give you guys like really unpalatable information, make you feel terrible about yourselves, and then I want you to go home and cry and not be able to sleep.
Yeah,
That's what
just
I want
black
out of the
pills.
show.
There you
So Vince and I, it's actually good that we're working together because
Somewhere in the middle might be
somewhere in the
best.
middle is probably the
Yeah.
best. Yeah.
We got a $10 super chat from Reinhard.
Hey.
This is a fantastic find. Thank you for bringing this guy to my attention. I have already bookmarked about a dozen of his videos to watch while I work.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Great.
Good. Yeah. He's, let me pull this up again. This is his channel, FleshSimulator. He's got a bunch of really, really interesting videos about all kinds of really sketchy topics
So
pertaining to murder and snuff films. And
Yeah, that was a great video.
It's really enlightening stuff.
Sleep quality has just been terrible lately.
Yeah, I haven't been sleeping.
I'm gonna have to take a break from your channel, man. Are we good on Super Chat?
We're good. That's
We're
it.
good. That
Thank
is
you
it.
so much, Tom, for joining us. That was an enlightening conversation. I encourage you all to go to his channel at Flesh Simulator. Check out his recent viral video. What is it called? Flesh Simulators. Where is it? Serial killers
Oh, yeah, this one right here. Serial killing for fun and profit.
Yep, there it is. Check it out.
there.
You can find us at Real Backlash on X. Go to our Subscribe Star, our Patreon, our website, backlash.net/donate, and we will see you with a normal show on Wednesday. Talk to you soon.
See you.
Awesome.